And you want to know who, out of all the Collingwood supporters, really pisses me off most?
All of them?
No, there's one guy in particular.
Turts!
No, really.
Who?
Okay, just going to share this. It's... Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm enjoying these wins, Spook.
I hear you missed the name before it was Spook.
Was it? He sounds like an absolute twat.
What do you think about the win over the hapless Saints?
What did I think? What did I think about that win? Let me tell you what I thought about that win. Well, in the end, I enjoyed it.
In the end, I played a little bit flat, rough. I mean, I know McRae said they weren't a little bit flat coming off the bye, but they played like they were a little bit flat coming off the bye.
You sound like you're flat coming off the bye.
I am flat coming off the bye.
We're all flat coming off the bye. No, the first half was a bit... it was patchy. I mean, clearly there was a bit of rust there and they had to blow the cobwebs out. Is there any other analogies we need to describe this? Is that enough? Did they have to blow sunshine up your ass?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, they're a bit rusty at the end. But the thing is, like, I think the funny circular component of the game is we kept looking like we were going to kick away, even though we were playing average. But the Saints were playing almost like the game of their life. I don't know. I don't watch them a lot, but they were playing really well from where I was sitting. And they kept pegging us back in. And it's sort of then, I think that enhanced that feeling that you're a little bit flat, rusty or whatever. We just couldn't get that extra gear going
in the first really half. Well from where you were sitting.
and over there as well.
Yeah, I was wondering. So just from where you were sitting, though.
Just from where I was sitting. No one else at the ground was complaining, just me.
Just you.
Stop me if you've heard that one before.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of their pressure rating was at like 233 at one stage, which is insanely high.
Did it have like a temperature gauge? It looked like it was about to explode at the top.
I was watching Kayo, so fuck it, I was lucky I was watching the game at all. You know what I like, Kayo? When the live game's playing, you show someone in the fucking crowd or someone in the coach's box or someone on the bench rather than showing the live action.
I think they learned that from Channel 7. What I love about Kayo is half the game is finished before we can find it on the fucking menu.
My favourite possibly was watching watching an ad for ad-free football during a live football game. It's like fucking the snake's along its own tail. It's like, hang on, you're advertising ad-free footy with an ad during the footy.
Halfway through the rant, we should stop and say, we'll be back for 10 minutes.
Yeah. And just have some fucking pointless graphic or some cricket ball slowly moving towards someone's fucking hand. You know what I love about Kayo is when you finally, like the other week, I was looking for a game and it wasn't coming up, so I started to push back to get out of it.
Back into the side?
No, or exit, and and just as I was pushing it, then the game comes up. It's the most ludicrous. It's like Disney designed it. Anyway, we sort of got off track.
Well, Kayo bashing's alright. Everyone hates Kayo.
Yeah. I might as well talk about the Nick Daicos tag. It's the flavour of the week, apparently. Post-game, they really talked about the tactics being used on him. They discussed how many times Windhagen, whatever the fuck his name is, crossed the line. Windhagen.
Yeah, he's been shit since he left Van Halen.
Yeah, so...
Is it Hagen or Hagar? Sagar.
Semi Hagar.
It would have been funny if it was Hagar.
Yeah, I was just letting you run with it.
Win Hagar.
Yeah, but what do you...
Hagar the horrible.
I mean, we've talked about this. What do you think about the tactics that they use on Nick?
I think it's shit. And the thing is, like, at the ground, you can see right from the first bounce that Windhagen was Hagar was scragging and holding and pulling and pinching. He did nipple cripples. He was doing horsey bites at one stage, all sorts of things. And the fucking umpire was sitting there watching it all happen. And then eventually, the one that was directly in between my line of sight and Nick did fuck all. It was one of the other adjudicating umpires, because there's 90 of them out there, called a hold. And they paid the free. I thought, well, that's it. You're going to set the tone for the rest of the game. How many fucking more frees did he get for being held?
Yeah, it's absurd. And it was the ones that pissed me off. So they showed a post-game that a few times Windhagen sort of lifted the knee into the back of Nick's hamstring. So And it's like, well, that's kicking. Isn't that a reportable offence? There was one when Nick was running and he sort of... It looked like he slapped him or pinched him on the back of the neck.
Yeah, as they were running towards off in the distance.
And again, that's a strike, isn't it?
Well, I saw just... it's not mentioned there because I didn't tell you. But just before we came in here, there was a tweet that he's been fined $1,000 when
that'll fucking stop him.
No, that's it. He said, I'm done with it. It's cost me. This has cost me, he said.
Yeah, you keep saying every AFL's fucking a piss league organisation, and it's not just happening with Nick. I mean, it happens to fucking guys, you know,
who can play footy.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with tagging, but when you cross the line, you actually there are fucking laws you're breaking or rules you're breaking, and they're not rewarding the player who's being offended.
Whether it's in the moral spirit of the game or anything like that, or you're breaking some sort of assault conduct or whatever it is that people are saying it could potentially be. There's simple infringements of basic rules that drive the game here. You're holding a guy off the ball. It's a free. Why is it allowed because you're a tagger? Well, why don't you just identify as a tagger these days? And when you get pinged out in the ground for doing something, you say, identified as a tagger, therefore I'm exempt from the rules, therefore give me the ball.
Well, another one that's absurd is you've seen like marking contests. If the ball's been kicked to us and I just stop you from going for it without looking at the ball.
Well, I didn't know you cared.
Yeah, and it's a free because I'm not even.
You're not getting it for free.
It's not. You're not watching the ball. But how many times did that fucking Winterhagen and the other ones like Langdon, you shit prick. But how many times do these taggers actually not even have? They're not even facing the ball.
No.
So it's like, well, hang on, you're impeding a player from contesting. You're not contesting the ball. So how is that actually legal? Isn't that a block? So there's so many times those rules have been contravened. Anywhere else on the ground, it would be a free kick, but that's not with the tag.
You find these little ticky touchwood frees that you pay around the ground when it's blatantly performed in front of them. It seems to confuse the umpiring fraternity.
It's piss weak by the AFL who have had years to try and stamp this out. They never have. And this $1,000 fine, fuck, that'll stop around the grand from a guy making probably $400,000 a year. Fuck, that's shattering, which the club will pay anyway.
Or coteries. That's usually how it goes, isn't it?
So it's just fucking absurd. And it's not because it's Nick. I mean, although that's a big part of it. But, like, it happens to a lot of really good ball players. And, again, there's nothing wrong with tagging, but you got to fucking do it within the rules. I will say with Nick, the one thing that does annoy me is stop fucking wrestling him back. Just run. Move. Run. Keep in motion.
I think that's frustration, though, and he wants to be seen to be fighting back. Otherwise, if you're passive about it, they're just going to keep taking advantage of it. I did notice that a few more of the players flew the flag for him.
Well, we're talking about Pendles, really.
There was one, I don't think it made it to the TV, but anyone can stop me and write in the comments.
If it was on Kayo, trust me, it didn't make it to the TV. Wait.
No, there was nothing in the comments. I had a look, they're just down there. So I think it was when he first came off, Nick, he came off the ground, and Windhager was about 30 seconds behind coming off. And just as Windhager was about 10 metres from the boundary line, Pendles came on, ran straight at him and went in with the shoulder into his chest. And Windhager was a bit taken back. He goes, this isn't in the spirit of the game. I saw him mouth that. He goes, this isn't fair. This treatment isn't fair. And as he was trying to get around Pendles kept shifting and just kept bumping into him, having a few quiet words and let him run through. And then I heard Pendles say, I can smell shit.
Yeah, I mean, Pendles did that quite a bit in that game where he flew the flag for Nick. It's a shame that, I know McRae says in the press conference, we've got to take care of him, but you don't see a lot of that actually happening.
There was a lot more this week. It was a lot more noticeable. Like Long got in a few times and Bo got in a few times. They took Windhager off him and switched opponents a couple of times as well. But whoever then just went to Nick just started performing the same actions. Yeah. It was just, clearly that was whoever's on has to do this, impede him, frustrate him, stop him from doing it. And then when the fact of it all is he ended up with 30 possessions, a goal. He got I think the coach's MVP votes. So imagine if they didn't tag him though. He would have ended up with 7,000 possessions.
Yeah.
No one else, everyone would have taken the day off and just gone home.
Another one that I found absurd is Nick tackled that Windhager early and got him down on the ground. And then he gave him that little push in the back, like, I fucking got you. Which you see players doing constantly. Nick was penalised for pushing the back. And it's like, well, it didn't stop him from going for the ball or going to the contest. He was on the ground, so that's a free. And the amount of times they could have paid something similar, which they didn't. But meanwhile, they pull out a free for fucking Butler being tackled and dropping it.
Oh, that one fucking irked me something chronic.
He's like, how many can you get right? And fucking Butler's got him up like what the fuck?
Oh, that's it. I mean, even the commentator said at the end of that one that Butler should be handing the ball back.
Yeah.
Because, like, fucking, he was tackled. He had the ball.
He dropped it.
He was dispossessed of the ball.
And
then the umpires called the... And the thing is, like...
Quainer was really careful about how he put him down, too.
And the thing... Then this is one of the problems with umpiring, too, is when one of them makes a blatant fuck-up, the other three that are there that can any point override never do, because then it's demonstrating that you've actually made a mistake. So they go along with it, and they end up looking stupider for doing it.
Yeah, I thought the umpiring was bad both ways, and there was I think about
just this game or the whole round.
There was 3 marks they took that on the full. There was that last one where bloody Perryman was like, "Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball." It's obviously over on the full, like halfway to the fence.
There was that one again. Look, I was looking down the boundary line when it went clearly over when he took the mark. And the thing is that there's a fucking boundary umpire between me again and that view who clearly saw it and said, "No, throw it in." I think, you know what? Look, I can see it. I'm an old man with poor eyesight.
The state of the game in terms of the way it's officiated, not just in our game, but you know, like when I do watch other games, which is rare, but when I do watch them, the standard of umpiring is appalling. And it's fucking absurd that the AFL will just continue to stonewall this until people just accept it's going to be appalling. They never address it. You know, the one rule I always go to is the ruck infringement rule, where the umpire will blow the whistle and no one knows what the free kick is. The rucks don't know, the players don't know, the crowd doesn't know, and the commentators don't know. And how that's actually accepted as, well, that's just the fucking state of that rule.
Do you know what else is not accepted to change? The fucking playing surface of Docklands. I haven't been there for years. How many umpires fell over during that game?
Yeah.
The boundary umpire fell over in front of us. Players were slipping in the same spot. And when they stop and turn, there's like fucking sods of shit that comes up. Like, it's such a loose, gravelly play. And my concern out of this is where I'm going with this, is we got 2 weeks playing on concrete there. Yep. What's it going to be like for soft tissue injuries post those 2 back-to-back games for us?
I don't know. I also find it funny, like actually funny, that Carlton and North, they're tenants of Marvel, aren't they?
Are they? Well, who are they? They play footy.
And they played at the MCG.
Not very well, I hear.
Well, we're a tenant of the MCG and play a home game against St Kilda at their home ground. And it's like, well, how does that fucking make sense? I'd really like the administration to come out, like Collingwood, and I know they won't do it because of the politics of it. And I've said this for years. I just like the administration to come and just go, fuck off. That's not our home ground. Stop fucking playing us there.
Do you know, I reckon, how they make these decisions? I reckon you walk into a room and there's 6 AFL commissioners and their heads are all aligned going left and right. And someone puts a ping pong ball in their mouth and then it comes out a tube and that's where it lands, is where the decision is.
I really just hate, like, you look at the fixturing. So Carlton has played West Coast and North again. We still haven't played West Coast.
I think Carlton would be fearful of playing West Coast at the moment.
Oh, they'll be fearful of playing North again. I mean, they beat West Coast, but the fixturing's fucking absurd. How do you fucking determine the fixture like this, that teams play each other twice before other teams have played each other once? You know, how does Collingwood get a home game at Marvel against a tenant of Marvel? It's absurd. I know someone will go, oh, well, you know, Footscray had a home game at the MCG, when it's not their home ground. It's like, fucking, they went there for the money, you know? And fucking Kane Corlins, just while I'm calling people dickheads, and John Ralphs, he goes on about Collingwood's fixture. Is anyone ever going to go on about Geelong's fixture?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think we talked about it last week, or the last.
Definitely wasn't last week.
But their run home is absurd in terms of. Was it they got 6 games or something at Skilled Stadium or whatever it's called against shit teams. I mean, they played one good one at Brisbane and they got smashed.
They've lost the GWS and Brisbane there. And fuck, we're talking about it in this. I'm fucking sick of like hearing Brisbane hadn't won there since 2003. Brisbane was shit between 2005 and 2020, so no wonder that fucking Geelong beat them there. And Geelong play all the shit teams there.
No, that's it. It is literally it's a gift ride into finals.
It is, because you're going to win like 8 games there, so you only have to win like another 6, and generally you're going to play shit teams at other grounds too. I mean, you look at like right now, fucking Geelong has to play, you know, West Coast over there. Geez, that's a tough one. So you're going to win that one. You'll probably pick up at least.
They're a Monty for first or second.
Yeah. No, but
Monty.
I'm just saying in general. In any year, they're going to play like 10 games there or whatever it is. They'll win at least 8. That means they only have to win 6 others, and 6 of those others will just be against shit teams at other grounds. So it's just a shoe-in, and people talk about Geelong being always up there. Well, that's fucking why they're up there. You know, if they're always up there and winning a flag, it'd be different. They're not. They've won one flag since 2011. You know, anyway, we've totally gone off our fucking game.
Talk about the game.
Darcy Cameron, he's going to West Australia here.
Is he?
Yeah.
What, for a holiday?
Yeah. Well, you definitely wouldn't go there to live, would you?
No, well, apparently neither does he.
Sorry, West Australians.
We got anyone who listens from West Australia? Do they have technology over there that's capable of interpreting the internet? What, do you get in Morse code in West Australia? You know they're still listening to the beeps of the first episode of the Rant.
How about your friend Ed?
Which friend?
You two, you go to Labour rallies together. McStay, since he's been back, that forward line hasn't functioned as well.
It's only 2 games.
That's all I need, 2 games.
You've got to give him time to gel, Sly.
I reckon when he wasn't, I'm not blaming him specifically, I'm just saying the setup, so it could be Membry, it could be Major. It's when he's there, they seem to bomb a lot more. In the weeks he wasn't there, Elliott was playing out of the goal scorer as a lead-up forward, and our efficiency going forward was really incisive, but it seems to have just disappeared in the last 2 weeks, as does, I mean, how many times can we just kick the ball into forward 50 and hope for the best?
Oh, a lot it seems. There doesn't seem to be too much. I mean, there wasn't last week they talked at half-time about lowering the eyes when they came out and did that. We did something stupid like get control back of the game and win. The bombing is becoming problematic because they're doing so much work to get it up there. Someone runs outside the arc and then that's it. There's no looking for it. But I don't think anyone at the same time is leading. This couldn't be an instruction. It could be just to bring the ball down to the deck and...
But this is why I think the synergy is not working. Again, I'm not blaming McStay specifically. I just think they don't gel as well, that group they've got. You know, and it has worked better when there was a smallish forward line.
Because the funny thing is that you when you look at probably the averages over the game, it'd be interesting to get a stat on how much time is spent for the Triple M's inside the 50, because Membry tends to he does a little bit of a selfless game. He patrols that 50-metre arc looking for better options than himself a lot of the time. Someone who's just free or running or whatever, if it's coming in, he'll hand the ball off to them. Mihocek plays a lot up the ground. It just seems to be McStay that stays and runs out of the square. But at the same time, you're not seeing Bobby or Jamie, since he's come back, do anything off to the sides or lead to any space or anything like that. The one time that Billy did, he ended up with 2 goals. Bobbed up, did a cameo,
Well, the thing too
did
is,
a third and dragged us back into the game.
I think leading is an actual innate instinct. Or sorry, that's a terrible way of saying. It's an instinct that players have. Some guys are really good at it, and some guys have to be taught it, and some guys are just fucking terrible at it. Elliott just naturally leads really well and commands the ball. I think McStay knows how to do it. He's not as good at it. But you look at the way that we played when McStay wasn't there compared to the way we're playing now. It just seems totally different. With Elliott, also, he played like a really old-style sort of full forward coming out of the square, and he had the pace. And I've said this for years. I don't really understand the ideology that you need talls up forward unless you're just going to bomb mindlessly. Then you're fucking expecting them to crash packs and mark. If your forwards are constantly on the lead and you do lower eyes, then surely it shouldn't matter what fucking height they are, because you're running to the ball, and guys like Elliott are going to get meterage on their opponent.
I mean, the other funny thing is too, is if you're going to do that as a strategy and you're bombing to 2 or 3 talls that are going up, if you're not taking the mark, you're bringing the ball to the ground. That's where your crummers tend to come in. When's Bobby Hill ever started crumming any of the
I think he decided that with about 4 minutes of the game time left.
That was time enough to add another chapter to the highlights package. But there just doesn't seem to be enough presence there of him any other part of the game. Now, I think the days of Jamie Elliott crumbing are probably done. I don't think he's...
I think he's never naturally been.
No, and that's the thing, is he's not going to rely on it now. That just really leaves that Hill should be doing a lot of that skirting the packs. He's got the pace and stuff to cover a fair bit of ground, but he just remains largely unsighted for chunks of the game.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know where he actually is. What's his patterns of running?
Well, probably,
what's he meant to be doing? Is that his role, just to not be part of the game?
Or if the crumbing, you'd probably think it would be Hill, Schultz when he's there, Ginnivan when he was there. I don't think...
What about Leon Davis?
Yeah, when he was there. McCreary, I don't think, is another one who's a natural crummer. He's very defensively aggressive. But And when I say this, I don't want fucking someone going, what about the goal he kicked? You know, I'm talking about like as their prevailing game style.
I like McCreery as a big line breaker now. I'm not line breaker, clearance runner.
But this is the thing with McCreery though. I actually really worried about, like, you know, he was always a relatively low possession getter as a forward. In the middle, he just looks like he's got a totally different...
Yeah, he takes the ball on the outside and just goes.
Yeah.
And no one could get near him until his hamstring just went.
Well,
his hamstring apparently runs faster than him.
Well, it's a danger at Collingwood when he kicked the ball, apparently, between him and Schultz, who did hammies kicking the ball. Hopefully, we won't have to do that for the rest of the season.
Do you reckon it'll be a 6-week hammy? They said it's a minor...
I said it was awareness.
Hamstring awareness.
Yeah.
Would it talk to him?
I don't fucking
Does
know.
it become sentient? You say, Bo, mate, I can't carry you forever. So, but, you know, it's you get a splinter at Collingwood and you have to put a Band-Aid on it. That's 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the other guy who's got crumbing ability is Sidebottom, so I don't know. Like, they play him in the wing, whether you... When Curry comes back in 6 weeks, whether you drift Sidebottom forward to sort of fill that role. I don't know what their expectation is. They obviously have very fixed roles in how they do it, so maybe just sometimes the ball doesn't fall their way. But I just think the McStay, Membry, Mychek thing isn't really working the way they would expect it to. McStay's generally a good mark, and Mychek's a good mark, but they're not brilliant marks. You know, they're not your Charlie Curnows or Travis Cloaks. So you got 3 tall guys who are relatively goodish marks, and all 3 of them are like they're okay below their knees, but they're not brilliant. So I don't know if they need to treat McStay more like the way they treat Mason Cox when he's there, because when Mason Cox there, he doesn't actually play a lot of the game. He plays like 60-70% of it. So I don't know if they'd have to treat that tall like that. I don't know if McStay even works as a relief ruck. He seems to lose a lot of it. So that's something I think they need to look at, but they probably won't, because they obviously have a really clear idea of this is the model they want. So Cox is now just break glass in case of emergency. He's not part of their 23. That Charlie West kicks 6. So his next one's going to be moved up, and we'll talk about that later. But right now, I think, even though we're winning and all that, I don't think that forward line in the last couple of games has worked particularly well.
But it's never going to be a glaring issue unless you start losing a lot of games.
Well,
as you said, we're winning, so is it a problem? Yeah, something you can fault, but is it really a problem? It's not stopping us from winning games. You're probably alluding to the fact that we should be winning by a lot more if it was functioning better.
I think the thing...
Now, it has to fucking function really well once
functioning
in September.
Oh, it has to function well like 3 times.
One day in September.
Yeah, I think, though, it'll be interesting when we play better teams, how it functions. Because the last 3 weeks, you know, we've played some pretty shit teams, so we've gotten away with... Not even the last 3 weeks. I mean, Hawthorn, they're a goodish team, but they're not what they were last year at the moment. You know, we beat Melbourne. They're a shit team. They played well, but they're still a shit team. St Kilda are a shit team. Fremantle, when we were playing them, they're still a struggling team.
But I think the thing is, I mean, whether they're struggling or not, I think St Kilda played really well.
Yeah, but
they were way better, because I don't really give fucking too much of a shit about St Kilda. I wouldn't be able to name 3/4 of the players out there. I'm like, oh, who the hell are you? Because they're running a fairly young brigade out there at the moment.
Yeah,
but I thought they played well. And
they played really well. But I just
bit.
meant, though, you're not really going to expect the St Kildas and the Fremantles to be kicking 90 or 100 points and winning the game. It's like, well, we can keep you down to about 70 and get that ourselves.
And we did. I mean, but the thing is, I think it's that sort of reoccurring pattern that you're seeing, that teams no doubt lift when they're playing us at the moment, and fair enough, they should. We're top of the table. We're the number one challenger out there. Wouldn't you want to try your best against the best each week? Isn't that the cornerstone of most sports? That we seem to be just really adept at just absorbing the hits, and then we lift when required. Yeah, look, there was times where I think we just looked poised to run away with the game, but then we'd get them, they'd kick a couple of goals back, we'd bring that margin back. It was hovering around 20 odd points there for a few times. They'd get a couple, we'd get a couple, and it just kept yin and yanging. And then we sort of just grabbed that ascendancy in the last.
How much do you think the team right now, the club, is just sort of not going full throttle?
Well, why would you? You just got to win. You just got to win points. I mean, some of it's obviously about percentage as well. Our percentage is, what is our percentage?
About 140.
Healthy. That's pretty healthy. You obviously want to retain that because it could come in handy, but really, whether you finish first or second, it's much the same. We're going to get home finals, which would be the ultimate outcome of finishing top 4.
Well, assuming we win next week, which is we should against West Coast, we'll be 10 points clear of second.
Well, yeah, which is a fair old margin.
Yeah, so look, I don't know. I mean, right now, obviously they're doing enough to win, but I just, you look at the players they potentially have to come back. We'll talk about that actually a bit later. Go back to the game. Lipinski watch. How brave was he on this week?
Look, I thought he had a good game.
Some people he sat next to apparently said he's like the second coming of Ron Barassi, apparently.
Yeah, there was the people flagulating themselves over him behind. I think one of them was Turds.
That's good flagging. Was it an acrylic or wool scarf he used?
Well, he was using everything. Even a chainsaw at one point. Chain, that is. Not the chainsaw. That'd be a bit owie. No, look, I think...
flashbacks to Scarface.
I mean, there were a number of players... at half-time I had a look at the stats, and I reckon the full page of the second half of the team, we were sitting on about 6-5 downward of possessions. They just weren't really doing enough. And I made the comment that, there's a few blokes out there that might want to lift in the second half. And Lipinski was sort of, it's his first game back from 2 months of concussion. He was finding his way. I think he was asking for directions to get how to get on the ground and stuff like that. But I think, like most that lifted in the second half, I think he was one of the better ones.
I thought he was really good in the second half.
He was really, really good. And, he was throwing himself on the ball. He's doing all those things that we probably would like to see of him. Rather than maybe turning on a short step from a contest, he was happy to sort of put his body on the line a few times, and I think he played well. We now have 2 goals.
Yeah,
kicked 2,
26 possessions.
Last game he kicked 2 as well, and that's why we play him, Sly.
I mean, 5 tackles, which I really liked. So, look, the second half I thought he was really good. I thought the first half he struggled. I mean, a lot of them did. He kept St Kilda guy, Sinclair or the fuck his name is, kept him quiet.
Did he just keep doing this?
Yeah. Kept pinching him and all that. But
did he get a squirrel whip or anything like that?
This is the thing. It's
did he get a $1,000 fine?
Potentially.
Because that stops it,
Could you do better than Lipinski?
Could I?
Yeah.
Wouldn't I?
So shut the fuck up. Look, I thought it was really good, but that's what I want to see consistently. I hate when people the amount of people I've seen have highlighted that 15 minutes against Hawthorn. It's 15 minutes, Has he been doing that every week for the last 3 years? Apparently he has, because that 15 minutes is all they've pointed to.
Oh, he subscribes to the 15 minutes of fame theory.
What about Hoskin Elliott on the flip side?
Yeah, I wasn't overly... Did he do anything impressive in your book?
No, he's consistent. He did nothing in the first half. He did nothing in the second.
Well, he was tried up both ends, and I think he led to at least one goal that stood out to me, where he sort of palmed the ball back into play, straight into St Kilda's hands, and they snapped and goaled. I don't think after that he lasted much longer in defence, and he was put back up in the forward line. But that was a classic Hoskin game. He sort of just drifted around.
I thought he even did less than the classic Hoskin game. I thought Ned Long, not struggled, but it's been a bit quieter lately. But in terms of the midfield mix, you know better because you were there. He didn't seem to be lining up as much in there. I wonder, because McRae seems to be trying different combinations in the middle, and I don't know if he's just trying to give him more exposure, or he's trying not to show our hand too early and get opposition to focus on certain players.
Possibility.
But I noticed it does get mixed up quite a bit now. It's not like you have your starting 3 and they're playing there 60% or 70% of the game time. Even guys like Pendlebury and Sidebottom, they're not there regularly or as regularly as you'd expect. So I don't know if he's just trying to deepen the rotations that we have.
I think it's also maybe trying to curtail some of the expectation on him as well, because he hit the ground running. And how many games he played now? Has he played double figures yet?
Oh, he'd be up there about 10-ish.
10-ish, yeah. That maybe you just don't want to put too much pressure on him at such an early point of his career that he just gets swamped. It just takes some of the heat off him a little bit, because he does impact a lot of contests. His work inside really is it's grunt work, and he just doesn't. He's not a player that would leave you die wondering.
No, unlike Dan Houston.
Fuck. I mean, I gave him to what, June? Well, we're nearly at the end of June. I don't know how much more I can give him. I'm just not saying it. We talked about this
He's not bad. He's just not.
No, he's not what I expected. You know, I expected that we were going to get someone who was up at the other upper echelons of elite, that was going to be sweeping that back line like a general and sending the ball with pinpoint accuracy to players who were just going to run on with it. And he's struggling to
Get the ball.
15, 20 touches a game, if that.
No, he got 9 disposals.
9 disposals in this one. Yeah, it's not. I mean, really, if it wasn't Dan Houston, this is a player that wouldn't be playing in the seniors at the moment. He'd be dropped to the VFL.
Yeah, so he had 9 disposals from what I can fucking tell about this. He kicked 1 behind, which was... He called for this ridiculous one where he was running on the outside toward the boundary. 2 tackles. So you really look at this, it's just 6 kicks and 3 handballs. That's a stellar game.
Is it lack of confidence? Is it just not fitting?
Look at it.
I mean, we had to give Schultz 18 months to before he come good. Does Houston look at that and say, well, I've still got a year to go before I have to get good?
Well, again, it's whether there's a different framework at Collingwood, which means he's still getting used to the way he's trying to play. The thing I really look for in players, so we were talking about Nick Daicos a bit, you know, in terms of when he was driving the ball forward, and it's like, well, he's injured, but it's like, those times, he kicked it forward straight to Kilda several times. And it's like, well, that's not an injury. That's just not playing intelligent football. So when I look at players and their performance and their output, it's like, well, maybe they're injured, but an injury surely shouldn't be influencing that aspect of his game, his decision-making, his choice, whatever he's done. I really am yet to see sort of game... Maybe that's a Port Adelaide game, round 2 or something, or 1, where he really dominated, but he's never been anywhere close to that.
No.
He's had some good defensive games, but not good counter-offensive games, and then he's had some...
Was it the Saints game he was rubbed out? No, Saints, Carlton?
Yeah.
It was Carlton, wasn't it?
And the guy fell into his elbow.
Do you think that's rattled him? He's just playing it uber conservative?
It shouldn't rattle him.
No, I mean, he fucking cleaned someone up in the finals the year before and didn't seem too perturbed.
I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know if he doesn't know how to fit in there. Billy Frampton, the franchise.
Yeah, so you hated him. You messaged me with some vitriol. I've never seen it. It was words I had to look up in a thesaurus. Look, I don't think, and I made the comment to you and you shot me down, I don't think defence was working particularly well in the first half. You obviously, I mean, you've got a different view. Most of it was up the other end anyway in the first quarter.
No, I think it's a defence problem. I just thought the amount of times Kilda got the ball in stoppages and just waltzed it out. So I just thought it was coming forward with such impunity, and our midfield wasn't pressuring St Kilda enough to impede their delivery. So
they made them look very clean when they were going end to end, and their inside 50s generally resulted in a mark and a shot on goal. Whereas ours were just mad bombings. There was just components of the way they were setting up that just didn't feel right.
The thing is, like, I think there's a symbiosis in terms of, like, the defence has genuinely been good, but it's also been good because the pressure around the ball carrier is good. So it hasn't let their forwards get cleanly away a lot of the time, which gives our defence time to knit their zones and, you know, double and triple team and that. Whereas against St Kilda, it was just like every time they got the ball, it was like overlapping handballs, and the defence really had no time to set up. They couldn't really zone. They had St Kilda players on leads. It was St Kilda players just fucking alone. I thought Darcy Moore in the first half was almost diabolical. In the second half, he was pretty good.
He was pretty good, yeah.
I mean, in the second half, a lot of them improved.
The one thing that stood out for me too was just the amount of marks that Howe dropped. I mean, you just look at him and you're so conditioned to think his hands were so sticky and reliable, but he's not clunking them as cleanly as he used to.
Howie came unglued.
Over Macho Grande.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to actually see him go for a few of the other marks because he's really just kills the ball.
He's punching a lot now. And
when he punches, he makes sure he punches it. But
Moore's doing the same too, especially if it's where they're going to force a stoppage over the line. They seem to now want to do it more and play the safety of sending it over than attempt to mark.
Yeah, so I would actually like to see how go for a few, because a few times he leaps over a pack and then just punches. It's like, okay, you're not getting the same elevation you did 5 years ago, but you're getting up there enough that you could mark it. I don't know if his hands just aren't that sticky anymore, if he doesn't have that confidence. I mean, Moore's another one. Like, he took a couple of good marks. There's times, again, you get to the ball and then it's like, well, mark it, and then he just punches it. And that's probably something that's really hurt us in regards to, go back a couple of years ago where you had Murphy and Moore marking reliably. Quaynor sort of, he's been generally pretty good since Maynard went out. I thought he was a bit quieter this week.
He was forced to play a bit taller, I think, and he just got beaten enough times not to make it look great.
And then you get a few others like Jack Crisp. I just thought, it wasn't terrible, but it was pretty bland. My check sort of didn't really impact the way you'd want him to, but again, that forward line's like a bit of an issue. Perryman, I thought, had like a lot quieter game than usual. Maybe it's just like coming off the bye and then they've just trying to, knit together. You're playing at that shithole. You have to sort of change your strategy bits. And Kilda did play really well. Any final thoughts on this Disney of a game?
No, really, at the end of the day, it's essentially a get-out-of-jail-free card you played, and win and ugly is still a win. They're a lot more convincing with the way they finished the game off. I think that's what we've sort of come to expect.
Instead of like winning by like a goal or 10 points or whatever.
What did we end up winning by? 34 or something, was it?
34.
A reasonable margin at the end of the day. You would have taken that at the start of the game, wouldn't you?
I'll take that, yeah.
Yeah, we all took it. We all talked at the game. We had a bit of a quick whip around, and 43,000 people said they'd take it.
Going forward, so...
Oh, that seems to be a problem for us.
Yeah, players...
Are you going to bomb this question?
Yeah, plans to come back. Braden Maynard, so he should be back this week.
Walk straight in, yep.
Lockie Schultz, probably still a couple of weeks away.
Well, it's only 2 weeks into his 6-week minor hamstring strain.
Jordan Ngoe.
Well, you can't believe what you read at the best of times.
Well, McRae said like
2 weeks away or something.
2 to 3 weeks. But they obviously don't know themselves, so they're just waiting to see what he's got recovers.
Well, the absolute worst case scenario is he's cherry ripe for the first final.
But do you bring him in? He doesn't have any football.
I think he needs something. He's either need to come back through the VFL and get a quarter or two of touch.
Well, McRae said that. McRae said he's like 3 weeks away and he'll play VFL. But in terms of like, if it comes to round 21, round 22, and you go, well, Geordie's back, do you play him in the finals and risk him breaking down, not knowing what you got?
I think you take the risk because there's enough role players around him at the moment. You clearly see we're winning the games without him. I think you just slot someone back in and replace him. You want him out there, ultimately, because of what he brings. But that's assuming he's going to be able to bring it. If he comes out and has a quiet first final, you clearly risk him for the second. But if he has 2 quiet games, would you risk him in a
do you play him? Or you could play him as a sub potentially, but you look at the game against Kilda, because we're talking about would you have played Tom Mitchell as a sub, and this is still germane for next week, is that you play Tom Mitchell as a sub, or are they concerned, as what happened last night, you lose a player in the first 10 minutes, so then the sub now has to play 90 minutes in football instead of the 15 they probably had him scheduled for.
Yeah, which is, obviously you're taking a risk bringing Mitchell back in after how many months overseas has he been on?
Yeah, so he's been out for about 18 months, but now the same also applies to Daicos. Daicos hasn't played for over a year. Oh, sorry, he played... Did he play at the start of the year? I think he did.
He played a couple of games.
But he really looked like he was struggling. So, and then whatever nature injury he's got, is it something that he could just run out there in 5 minutes and go, look, it's gone again?
Well, I think you'd want some advance notice of that, so therefore you're playing him last 3 rounds or something like that in the seniors.
But if you don't get that choice, would you bring him in just for the final?
Yeah, I still think you'd roll the dice, definitely. He's got well and truly enough credits on the board.
All right, so you got those guys to come back. Tom Mitchell, you're playing next week against West Coast?
I think so, wouldn't you? He's done enough in the VFL. I think Lockie Sullivan is one of the first ones you're going to wave goodbye to next week. And Mitchell can come in as the sub. Sullivan's been subbed. Mitchell will come back as sub no matter who it is that goes in and out around.
Who goes next?
Hugo's next. Hugo Weaving.
You have Braden
Elrond's
Maynard,
playing.
Lockie Schultz, Jordan Ngoe. So Maynard should come back. Who goes next? Who goes out next? Is it Ed Allen or is it Hoskin Elliott?
Oh, Hoskin's the next one on the chopping board. He really doesn't do much. Who was the other one, did you say?
Ed Allen.
Ed Allen. Yeah, I think it's probably coming... Well, the thing is...
He got better as the game went on.
Yep, definitely. He's still one of the youngest out there, and he's still a work in progress. He's not a finished product, He's still learning. Mitchell, in a pinch, could come in and play his role. If he's still capable of playing that inside game, it's going to complement Ned Long. I like some of the physicality that Allen brings. At the moment, it's a 50-50 thing. Are we desperate to get Mitchell back in though, or is it just seniority? Is it what are we bound to do with that player?
I'm just looking long term.
Who's more than likely probably going to be delisted at the end of the year.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter if he's going to be delisted. Is he a better option than Lockie Sullivan? He is.
Oh, definitely. So, yeah. But you're talking about bringing who's going out.
But there's multiple players that are potentially going to come in, and Mitchell. Look, we don't know how his injuries impacted him. He's doing to the VFL what he's wanted to do. He's getting big numbers, so you're going to have to give him the shot at it. And if he still plays at a level anywhere near what he was doing in 2023, then he's still in the best 15 players there, easy. So who goes? It's
got to be at Allen in that instance then.
You look at like these guys. The thing with Mitchell, I was looking at his numbers. I can't remember what it was exactly, but he got like about 10 tackles in the VFL. And McRae loves the defensive stuff. So that's going to stand him in good stead in terms of bringing him back. And I know you're not going to have a full list because there'll be injuries that occur, but even if we had a handful of injuries, we've probably got about 25 players you want to squeeze into 23. So who starts missing? And I think Allen and Sullivan are the two obvious ones. Ned Long's probably next if he continues to have quiet games. But at a certain point, they really have to look at Hoskin Elliott.
Definitely.
And in terms of Hoskin Elliott, I mean, there was what's that fucking shit show on Monday night? The Footy Furnace?
The Rant?
No, we're on Sunday night. Footy Furnace or whatever. What the fucking one with Tom Morris and the other...
I don't watch either of these shows. There's too many of them.
But he was saying that Collingwood, of the 8 elder players, they're looking to re-sign Pendle, Sidey, Mycheek, Elliott, Hoskin Elliott and Howe. And the two that they haven't decided on are Cox and Mitchell. So you got these... Hoskin Elliott still sort of must be in some sort of favour. I imagine that's because he can play a bit of a utility role, so they do like having that there as an alternative, but it's just, what does that final side look like? And then if you ended up playing... I mean, I don't know if Collingwood will do it, but if you end up playing one of these sides with a really good ruck, do you bring Cox back? That 2023 grand final, if you had McStay in that side...
you don't win.
You don't win with Cox if you don't have Cox in there. I mean, you would have had to drop Cameron at that time. Cameron was coming back from an injury and struggling in the second half of the year.
I mean, obviously, it's always a fit for need type thing. And then there's still going to be a need to manage players in the second half of the season. Because I think, I was talking to someone about it today, that you're going to start hitting that period where training loads are increased. If you've got the luxury of letting... some of the more seasoned bodies go out for a week or so and bring someone in to fill, and you still win games. It's the perfect wet dream outcome, I think, for them. There's still going to be a fair bit of rotation, so getting guys in at this stage isn't probably going to be super difficult.
It's more what the final side looks like.
Yeah, well, that's what you're working towards. But it's good to have options around that because you just never know what's going to happen in finals. Either if someone's going to go down with you look at McStay after the prelim. That's probably the worst possible thing that could have happened, and yet we worked around it and got a flag. What have you been punching?
I don't know. That's a weird one. Looks like we've missed out on Matt Rowell when everyone told me we were getting him.
I think it's my all-time favourite tactic is how player managers use the media. The media are happy to play along and cut and paste someone's head on a Collingwood jumper just to get that fucking deal across the line for their player. And it's a tired trope. Everyone gets linked with us. Anyone who wants to have a club feel threatened into signing, magically they get linked to us. And it gets tiresome after a while because it fires up the supporter base. They suddenly all believe we're somehow going to pull off all these miraculous trades. The only thing that we do is give away first rounders like they're candy. We don't have any ground base to get a lot of these deals done. But we've got Real coming to us. We've got Bont coming to us. Kings coming to us. All these top flight players that apparently we're going to pick up, although... players like Bond would be
free agents
anyway, so you certainly throw what you could at them. But it's just like everyone's coming to us, and every year everyone's coming to us. Very few of these deals end up being made.
Well, there was the story the scuttlebutt that was going. There's a feeling in the industry that Collingwood's landed a big fish.
Yeah, well, do we know who that is? Is it Paul Salmon?
Potentially, yeah.
Again, yeah. But I think it's just selling stories for the sake of selling stories. It's clickbait shit.
Oh well, it's media, the bulk of the media.
Yeah, and yeah. Well, if you've heard that we've landed a big fish, why don't you drop a fucking name? What's stopping them? They make stuff up all the time. No one holds them accountable. Why not just publish a name?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Is it Matt Rowell? Is he coming to us?
Yeah, well, the thing too is I look at like some of these names that are linked to us, and it's like Ralph, for example. You know, I did hear he wanted to come back to Victoria, but the thing is, Gold Coast, like, they lost against GWS, but they're going to play finals for the first time. You'd feel with that young list, you're probably going to be in the finals. You should be for the next 5-6 years. You got a really good home ground advantage out there too. You know, do you leave a club like that to, you know, go to a destination where you're not sure what it's going to be like? The Collingwood thing is really interesting, given you got Ned Long coming up as an emergence, and they've given him 2 more years, and it's like, all right, obviously Rao's a much bigger upgrade. But then you have McGuan potentially coming in. So how many midfielders do we want at this side at the moment, this list? If you could take anyone in the league, I mean, who would you pinpoint?
Oh, key forward.
Yeah, so for me it'd be a key position of some sort. Whether it's a key forward or key back, because I think the key defence stocks aren't that great too, because you got Howe's like 34, you know, Frampton's 27 or 28, and Moore's like 30, so that's not going to stand up forever.
No, that's right.
So
it's easy to find defenders. All you do is tall and just punch the ball.
Oh, well,
it's not hard.
No, it's not. But in terms of like what we need, I would have thought they should be prioritising a key positioner.
Oh, definitely.
So I don't know. Like when we talk about midfielders, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think Nick does need help, but the midfield looks a lot stronger with Long there and potentially McGuan coming in, and even McCreary possibly moving there full time than it looked 6 to 8 weeks ago. We're playing fucking West Coast or some shit club, West Coast at Marvel.
We're playing away twice.
Yeah.
We're flying interstate for this game. Do you know that? We go to the airport. We take a scenic flight around Melbourne, and then we land, and then we pretend it's an interstate game.
We're going to be taking a flight right now. Yeah, so what are your thoughts? I mean, should win relatively comfortably.
What do you say? They're shit house.
They are shit.
But remember they beat us in
2022.
23 with the VFL side, so anything
22, not
22, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think we'd well and truly comfortably play. I just hope we don't go. Well, I don't think we will go into arrogant and drop half a side or anything like that. I think West comes in. That's an absolute
West?
Yeah, Major West. He's going to crash land the Telstra Dome.
So who do you rest? Do you rest Membry?
Well, I'm going to have a rest. I'm tired.
They have to play unless they rest McStay and play Cox.
Yeah, well, McStay's only 2 games back. I don't think you'd break that for him at the moment. The one thing I noticed with Miacek, he's just... he takes a battering any time he goes near the ball, and he's getting slower and slower to get up and start moving again. Now, I'm thinking out of anyone in the Triple M's to come here to make way for West, I think they might give him a bit of a break, and that's nothing to do with his form or anything like that. It's just that, you know, crash and bash it's not... You're not going to get that on the couch at home. And I think that might be his little reward for his efforts. That's probably a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
And I think West will come in. Probably kick about 12 goals.
So do you play Mitchell also a sub and drop Sullivan?
Oh, that'd be an easy one to make.
Do you possibly rest Cameron? I mean, he's only been back 1 week, but...
Who is there? Do they have a ruckman at West Coast? I hear it's Swoop Luke.
I've got no idea who it is at West Coast.
No, I wouldn't have a clue. So would you maybe bring in Steen as well? Now we're getting arrogant.
Now you're getting arrogant. I think Cox has to be played every now and again. I think he always plays better when he gets continuity, but I think
he's been performing well in the VFL as well.
He's been doing all right. I mean, he's a better tap ruckman than Cameron. It's just Cameron's a lot better around the ground.
That, obviously, there's a lot of people that probably go to the football more than me these days. But you do notice how much he just flat palms it out in front of him. There's no tapping with conviction. And that's something that you see Cox do a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, so...
And look, against the West Coast ruckman, whether they've even got one, he'd dominate.
Who is it, Dean Cox?
Is it Cox? Is it?
Cox and Nick Nat?
Nick Nat, is he back, is he? Yeah. I thought he was going to Fantasy Island with Scaramanga.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you tip will win?
Just by about 80 points.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I'll say 56. Some comments. The Finns, 83. Question I have: Swoop Sly and Swoop Spook. If the Brownlow was this week, would Sidebottom finish ahead of Nicky D? Nick has had a very good year, not a Brownlow winner year. Yeah, I think Sidebottom will be miles ahead of him at the moment. But then again, I think Nick's probably just going to get votes for being out there.
I think so. I think Nick's half game performances are still better than most full game performances for your average footballer. So I think he's still going to attract 3 votes.
I think also since that Fremantle game, Sidebottom's levelled out a little bit.
He had a brilliant start to there. He'll get a few 3-vote games for those first 6 or 7. But then I think he's petered off. He won't get too many. He might get the odd 1 or 2s, but he hasn't really featured enough. Not with any more prominence than anyone else out there.
So this is about the Melbourne game. Captain Noob. How weird was it when May went up to Gorn and said, "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil"? It's probably the funniest thing that's ever been said on this show. Thanks, Captain Noob.
He also said something about he's teasing me.
Costas Vassilos. Absolutely great to see you guys. Thanks to the early round 13 episode. Coxilla should have played. Lipinski's run was missing. Bruz would have helped Darcy. Melbourne was playing their grand final again. So all in all, a fortunate win. We take it to move on. This thing where teams play their grand final against us, so Melbourne obviously fucking did because they were shit the following week. That sums up GWS's year. Round 0, they played the grand final against us, then they went missing for the next 8 weeks.
Well, you look at the Aints. The Aints lost, by 73 points or something the previous week. Same venue against the Dogs. And the Dogs are in, obviously, scintillating form at the moment. But that's a massive turnaround to push top of the table the following week. Yeah. How's that work? Clearly they fucking lift because they're playing us. And most sides do.
Yeah.
It literally is, for some of these pricks, their grand final.
David Hatley, 210.
Who?
David Hatley. I agree.
He sounds like a wanker.
I agree. Turtle's Take would be a great addition.
Oh, is that Turds?
Yeah.
Oh.
Turtle's Take.
I know. What about Hatley's hat stand?
What about Turtle's Snake? Bernard Parsons, 7682. Hayes is a boy who was sent on the man's errand. He'll be a good player in 2 years. Moore is not a defender, should never be allowed past the half-back line. He gives away 2 goals every game. He's a natural on ball and should be play there. Spook without trousers is now a cult figure.
You should see my OnlyFan page. It literally is OnlyFan. Did I make the OnlyFan gag last week about this?
No, because last
week
we
Did I have the snag out at any point? I didn't have the snag out there.
No, we'd need the Hubble telescope to see that.
What about Turtle Snake? Was that out?
I don't know. I don't know where we're going. We're back to ATM territory. Bernard Parsons, again, free M's don't work. It takes Elliot out of the game. Well, yep, I totally agree. Nick Hall, I've heard Moore is still battling with his shoulder injury. He could be, but again, some of the brain fades. McRainiac, Moore's lackluster effort didn't do anything to reduce my anxiety about Jeremy Cameron. How do we stop Cameron in the finals? Do we have a decent matchup for him, or will the emphasis be on team defence?
Oh, you just run through him.
I think they play, what's his name? The franchise.
The franchise?
Yeah. They play him on Cameron.
Big balls.
Yeah.
No, I reckon even so, you just run through him. Get him from the top of the turnbuckle with a takedown arm drag.
Yeah, sounds good. Digsby 7134. Bring back the high from full time against the Saints. Disgrace that he was sub. Excellent he's a sub. Excellent cameo. Well, they brought him back full time,
and he did have an excellent cameo.
Yep, McRainiac.
He pretended to be a footballer.
McRainiac. If Collingwood wins the flag this year, I'm retiring from watching football. I want to go out on top. I totally agree. Ashen Prism. D's definitely lost the game rather than us. When you take the 4 points and seeing May show what an absolute drongo he is. Moore was in the licorice, all sorts, with Melksham was up playing him. Fort Cox should have been picked, but happy to see Hayes get a few games, but needs more time to the VFL. Need Brozzy back to give the defence some hardness. Perriman has been a great pickup. Would like to see Dimatia get a gig after the bye for a taste of the big time. So there's another one they could actually play next week. And see Allen or Curry have more time in the middle. Swap Sullivan with Mitchell. Actually, one thing I do want to see for Ed Allen is I would like to see him more at the actual bounces rather than on the wing or wherever he's coming out from. That's it for this week. Any final thoughts?
Nah. Good to win. Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
I'm not hungry.
I'm going to throw it. Throw it at the phone.
Shall I throw it? I'll do Collingwood forward 50 entry.
It's a good one, Spook.
I missed.
What's his name? The Thunderbird pilot.
Which one?
Skank Horns. The one they have in space, Alan.
Alan.
Yeah,
He was Thunderbird 4. He wasn't in space.
Was he from? Oh, he's the submarine one.
Gordon was in space.
Yeah, okay. Gordon's alive.
They're all named after the Mercury astronauts. If you ever want to go to a trivia night.
Well, he was talking about like classifying Nick as a tough player because there's this constant narrative from opposition supporters that he's soft.
Who are you talking about?
Nick Daicos.
He's not soft. What did Corn say? Because Corn's a hard man.
Corn just showed.
He's a hard man to listen to.
Corn just showed a few of the highlights and just said like, this is not a soft player. So there's that one where he did the blind turn in traffic and won the ball out. I mean, obviously there's the last one where he kicked the goal. There was one where he tackled a bigger opponent, brought him to ground.
Mm.
So, I mean, what do you think about the narrative about Nick being soft? Because
I think that is propagated by every other supporter who wishes he was on his team but just can't admit it.
I'm actually really, really surprised because, I mean, there's players I don't like for opposition because, they're playing for opposition, but fuck, I can acknowledge they're good players.
Oh, absolutely. And as a lover of sport, you have to acknowledge the opposition players that are good.
Yeah. Doesn't
Doesn't matter what jumper they're wearing, unless it's Carlton and they all suck ass.
No, Cripps is a beast. I would love to go get Cripps from Carlton just to piss Carlton off and then to win the
Maybe
flag.
that's the big fish we're going to land.
I'd love it. Would you swap Houston for Cripps?
Heartbeat.
Okay, there you go. All right, subscribe, like, follow, share, leave comments.
Oh, look, Elliot's on the lead. Why don't you hit him?
All right. I want to look close for a second.
What are you... Hoskin Elliott? I was going to say Lipinski, but he was good.
Yeah, he was
so,
good.
I can't hang shit on him this week.
I fixed Lipinski this week.
Yeah, I know. You cursed him at half-time.
Yeah, and then he came out and played a great fucking second half.
Yeah, that's what he said. I ordered a Sly in the post-match presser. Didn't you hear it?
I'm starting a new show where no one talks, and it's just like...
Is it for mutes?
No, it's just going to work on the principle that if you can't do better than someone, shut the fuck up. And if you're not, you know better than a coach or someone at the club, so why bother offering your opinion? I mean, they're the two fucking defences of fuckwits. It's always that. Like, but the one that... If you're just going back to that one from a few weeks ago, could you do better than him? No, so shut the fuck up. It's like, well, basically that wipes out the entire media fraternity. Except for the existing current.
That's not a bad thing. I think Trump's about to do that.
But that's like, with Lee Matthews. Could he do better than Lipinski? Well, no, he couldn't because he's a fucking 65-year-old man. Does that mean he shouldn't have an opinion? Anyway, I'm just fucking rambling. Anyway, that's it for us. Later.
See ya.